Hello again, and welcome to the second video in my FPTS series. Last time we covered the pipe function, which we will make use of in this lesson. So if you don't know how the pipe function works, I'll drop the link to the previous video in the description. This video will cover the option type. I imagine that all of us have come across code where arguments are optional or where you can't guarantee what someone will pass in externally, making it so that you have to check the values before you use them. Or worse yet, code where it tries to use the arguments without bothering to check them at all. Either way, you risk throwing errors that might prematurely kill your application. I understand this example is ridiculous, and it's easy to improve upon by using top-level guard clauses, but in reality, you don't get to write all the code you work on, and you'll come across stuff like this, almost guaranteed. Code written like this is ugly, it's hard to follow, it has lots of branches, and you'll have to manipulate those branches in your unit test to check everything out properly. All in all, it's just bad. Enter the option type. Option is a wrapper for values and guarantees something is there other than null or undefined. And since it is wrapped, you have to unwrap it like a promise before using it. So let's go ahead and take a peek at our option type and see what makes it tick. So option is a template class that takes a type of A, which can be anything. It's actually a union, so option can be of type none, or it can be of type sum of A being the option you want to wrap the type. If we look at the subtypes that can make it up, there's a none type that doesn't have any public members on it, no data members at all. It just has a tag it uses internally that's set to the string value of none. Sum takes the A type for the option, wraps the value inside of it, and just like the none type, it has a tag for internal use in the library where it's set to the value sum. You're not really going to spend much time looking at or interfacing with these tags, though you could if you wanted. There's plenty of functions available that make these usable without having to know anything about the internals. Let's start with the simplest example I can think of. We'll take some baby steps. So we're going to write a function that formats a name. You see last name, comma, first name. So the first name we'll say is a string and it's mandatory. But the last name, maybe they didn't pass in and it's optional. So we will say if last is not equal to undefined, then we want to return the string last first. Otherwise, we just want to return the first name. Really, really simple. We'll just console.log it out and we'll say format name and we'll put in the full name to show it works. Robert Crossland. So over here in the window you should see Crossland Robert, and you do. If I remove my last name, it should just output Robert, which it does. Now this is real simple and it doesn't really show you the power of option. However, it'll show its basic use. So we are going to comment this out so you can see it side by side. And instead of doing what we've just done, we're going to import pipe from fpts/function. And we are going to import from fpts option. Note that there's several different ways you could import this. You could import the functions all together, but I'm just going to do it this way for simplicity. So we are going to return whatever's output by pipe, and it's going to take the last name first. So this last name is optional. It's going to pass it into here. Generally, you don't create an option just on its own. You use one of the built-in constructors. So we're going to use o.fromNullable. What this does is it says, okay, take the value that gets passed in as an argument. If it's nullable, turn it into a none automatically. If it is there, wrap it inside of an option. So that's the A. Option of A will be type string. So now to interface with that, just like a promise, you can't just come here and grab the value of pipe and mess with it. What you want to do is kind of like use a map function. And it's o.map, excuse me. And if I do that in here and I have this little function here, you'll see L is a string. And it lets us work with it in here. Generally, this is how you'll want to work when you're working with these kind of functional types. You'll want to do it inside of a map or a chain or something like that. You don't want to grab it out until the last minute when you need it. So if we have it in here and we don't have a none, we want to return last, or L in this case, because we're inside of our map, comma. Can't type today. And then we want to do the first. So this is all fine and dandy, but if you look here, this returns an unknown, and it will return an option of a string, which isn't what we want. When you're writing a library, you don't really want people to know what you're using inside. So this would be the place where you get out the value and return it. So it works just like a regular library. So for that, we will use get or else. In get or else, you pass a function, and you say, if this is a none, what do you want me to do instead? I have to be able to pass a value back. So if it's a none, we're going to pass first back. When you look at this, you might notice you're going to get this string or this string. There's no null, there's no undefined, there's nothing like that. You're safe. So if we want to check out it works, I will refresh it. And maybe it didn't work. It did work. And if I put my last name back in, it should work correctly, and there we are. So the last example was kind of simple, so let's look at one that's a little bit more complex. For this one, we are going to get a birthday greeting, and it's going to take a name, which is mandatory, and a birthday of type date, which is optional. If the birthday is there, then we're going to calculate the message to give out. Otherwise, we're going to return a very merry unbirthday to you with their name and an exclamation point to show that we're excited. So we've got this part down, but now we have to figure out, is it your birthday? I'm going to be pulling out some values, so I'm going to make a little helper function. I'm going to call it get date parts, and it's going to take a date that's mandatory of type date, and we are going to return a tuple. If you don't know what a tuple is, it's a collection of values you can return together. Maybe you should pause and look it up. But in this case, we're going to take the date.get full year, which is the year in like 1977, 2023 form. And then we're going to get the month, and then we are going to get the date. This month is going to be 0 indexed, so keep that in mind. But we're going to get the date parts here. So when we're getting the date parts, there's 2 dates I need to get the parts on. So first, I need to get the parts for the current year. So we will say get date parts of new date. So this is the current date. And in that, we will call it current year, current month, current date. I like day better. And then we're also going to get birth year, birth month, birthday. And we will do get date parts of the birthday you passed in that now we've checked it's there. From there, we're going to do a little if statement. We're going to say if the current month is equal to the birth month and the current day is equal to the birthday, and this should be an H, then we are going to calculate the age, and the age should be the current year minus the birth year. And we are going to say return happy birthday name. You are age years old today. Otherwise, we're just going to let it come down here and return this. Oops, it's crying at me for getting equals. So to test this out, I will console.log get birthday greeting. I will put my first name in there, and then I will put new date. I was born on 9/20/1977. So we expect to see a very merry birthday. Today for me is March the 21st. So if I change it to that, I should get happy birthday, Robert. You're 46 years old. So we see this part works. Alright, so now that our little procedural version of it works, let's make it functional. So we are going to import pipe again. We're going to import option. And we are going to import something else. I'll show you what it is in a minute, called a predicate. So we'll come here. We will comment this out. And we will return the output from the pipe function. We will pass the birthday to it. As last time, we are going to do a from nullable, as this can be undefined or null. So this from nullable is an option constructor that builds an option for you. If this is undefined or null, the option value is none. If this is there, then it will be an option of date with a inner value of the date. So now that we have that, we want to work with it. Oops, put a comma there. We're going to do an o.map. And so we'll call this BD in here. And for BD, we want to continue to pipe stuff to it. Now we know that we have a valid birthday. It's a date because we got it from nullable. If it's none, it won't call this map. It'll just keep going down the chain and return none at the end. It only calls inside of this map if it's some. So we know that we have a birthday here. And we know we have a birthday here. Now we are wanting to go a little bit further and make a new option out of it based on if today is your birthday or not. So we're going to make what's called a predicate. A predicate's just a function that takes an argument and then returns a true or false. If it's false, then you make it a none. If it's true, then you wrap the value. To make a predicate, we're going to call it birthday predicate. It is of type predicate of date. We are going to make one that takes the birthday, which is a date, and it's mandatory, and it's going to return a true or a false. For this one, we don't need the year and the date parts. So we still want to get the date parts for, we'll say, birth month, birthday is equal to get date parts of birthday. And then current month, current day, we're going to get the date parts of new date, so today. And we are going to return birth month is equal to current month, and birthday is equal to current day. We took the year out because the year isn't going to be the same as today if it's your birthday. So now this birthday predicate, it returns a true or false. It returns true if this is the case, false otherwise. So we are going to use that here. So we have this birthday, and we're going to do o.from predicate. So we're going to wrap this birthday in a new option from predicate, and we're going to tell the predicate we want is a birthday predicate. So if the birthday meets this criteria, it'll get put in this predicate, or in this as a sum. If it doesn't meet this criteria, it'll just return an option of none. And then from there, we will do an o.map. And in the map, we want to take B for birthday. And we are going to say, we're going to calculate the age. We're going to say the age is the new date dot get full year minus b dot get full year, and that should give us our age. And then we are going to return the result. We're going to say, let's just copy and paste it right there. Copy, paste, and there we go. So we've got that, and now we're going to do something where we get it out. And if we try to get it out and it fails, we want to take this statement. And you notice, oops, that needs to be a function. You notice this all turns red. Why, hey, what's the matter? Let's comment this out and look at our return type. We're returning an option of string, and that's not what we want. The reason that is happening is because we have an option here. We're mapping it, so this encases everything inside in an option, and then in here we're making another option, which is making it an option of an option. So they have a function that is like a flat map. So if you have options of options, it'll flat map it, and it's called chain. It works just like map, except it expects you to return your own option inside, and if you don't return an option, it won't work. So now if we look, we're returning an option of string successfully. So this should work. And you notice there's no if statements, nothing like that like there is in here. It's all very flat, easy to test. And if I run this, let me open this up so you can see it. Let me clear it out. Let me reload it. There we go. Happy birthday, because I've got today's date in. If I put my actual birthday, there we go, a very merry birthday. So that and that are equivalent. Now, we could make this a little neater, but we don't need to at this time. This is a good enough example for here. So in the next video, I plan on getting a little deeper into the option type and how it works, and I will see you then.